When Daniel Foster stepped out of his black Mercedes and saw the small, worn-out bakery across the street, the same one where his ex-wife now worked, he realized money couldn't buy the one thing he had truly lost: peace. He had built an empire from nothing, turned into a household name in business circles. Yet in that quiet corner of a forgotten town, he stood trembling, not because of the woman inside, but because of the guilt that had followed him for 5 long years. If the story touched your heart, show your love, like, share, and comment your thoughts. It had been 5 years since Daniel last saw Emma. 5 years since that night when words had been sharper than knives, and pride had burned brighter than love. Back then, he had been a man chasing success, drowning himself in late meetings, deals, and champagne dinners, while Emma waited at home, slowly disappearing behind the noise of his ambitions. She had once told him, "I don't need your empire, Daniel. I just need you." He hadn't listened. Now, standing outside her bakery, Sweet Haven, Daniel noticed her through the window, her hands dusted with flour, her hair tied loosely, and her smile faint but real as she served a customer. It was a small place, barely enough to hold 6 people. Yet there was warmth there, the kind that his $20 million mansion never had. For a moment he thought of turning back. He wasn't sure if she'd even want to see him, but he had promised himself this visit. Not for closure, not for reconciliation, but for the truth, something he hadn't been brave enough to face. He pushed open the door, the little bell above ringing softly. Emma looked up, and in that instant, the air seemed to still. Her smile faded. Her hands froze mid-motion. The spatula slipped from her fingers and hit the counter. "Daniel?" she whispered. He nodded, unsure what to say. "Hey, Emma. It's been a while." "5 years," she said quietly, her voice carrying both calm and storm. The customers nearby glanced between them, sensing the tension, before quickly paying and leaving. When the door finally shut behind the last one, silence filled the space. "What are you doing here?" she asked, wiping her hands on her apron. Daniel tried to find words, but none came easily. "I was nearby. I wanted to see how you were doing." Emma gave a short, bitter laugh. "After 5 years of silence? After the divorce papers arrived with your assistant instead of you?" He swallowed hard. "I deserved that." "Yes," she said, meeting his eyes for the first time. "You did." For a few moments neither spoke. Daniel noticed the photos behind the counter. Emma with a few elderly women, a young boy helping her decorate cupcakes. Happiness frozen in frames he wasn't part of. "I didn't come here to hurt you," Daniel said finally. "I came because I owe you an apology." Emma turned away. "An apology doesn't fix 5 years, Daniel." "I know," he said softly, "but it's a start." He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small envelope. "This is for you." She frowned. "What is it?" He placed it on the counter and stepped back. "Just read it later." Emma hesitated, her pride and curiosity warring. Finally, she tore it open. Inside was a check, but it wasn't for money. It was a receipt, a legal document showing the transfer of a building deed. "I bought this block," Daniel explained. "Every shop on the street was up for sale. But this one, your bakery, I signed it over to you. It's fully yours now, Emma. You'll never have to pay rent again." Her eyes widened. "Why would you do that?" "Because it was always your dream," Daniel said quietly. "You talked about opening your own bakery when we first got married. I was too busy chasing my dream to listen to yours." Emma's lips trembled, but she tried to hold firm. "You think buying me a building makes up for what you did?" He shook his head. "No, I know it doesn't. But I wanted to do one thing right, even if it's too late." For a long moment, she stared at him. Then she whispered, "Why now?" Daniel sighed, lowering his gaze. "Because I found out last month that I have a heart condition. My doctor said I need surgery. It's not guaranteed." Her eyes softened, just a flicker, before she quickly looked away. I realized, he continued, I've built everything, but I've never really lived. Not since you left. You were the only person who ever saw me before the money. I didn't come here for pity, Emma. I just wanted to tell you I'm sorry, before I run out of time. Her breath caught in her throat. She had imagined seeing him again one day, maybe successful, maybe lonely, but never broken like this. She turned away, trying to hide the tears that now fell freely. You made your choices, Daniel. I know, he said, and I regret every one of them. He placed his business card on the counter and quietly walked to the door. You don't have to forgive me. Just keep living your dream. That's all I wanted to see. He stepped outside, the bell chiming again as the door closed behind him. Emma stood there, staring at the check in her trembling hands. For years, she had buried her pain under work and flour and laughter that wasn't always real. She thought she had moved on, but part of her heart had stayed frozen in that past. She picked up the card. On the back, Daniel had written a single line. You taught me what love means. I just learned it too late. Her tears blurred the words. For days, she couldn't stop thinking about him. And then one morning she got a call. It was from the hospital. Daniel had gone in for surgery. Complications. Without thinking, she dropped everything and drove there. When she arrived, Daniel was still unconscious, his face pale, his breathing shallow. She sat beside him, holding his cold hand for the first time in years. Why did you have to wait until now to come back? She whispered through tears. You always did everything late, even this. Hours passed before he stirred slightly. His eyes opened weakly, and when he saw her, a faint smile touched his lips. Emma, he breathed. Don't talk, she said softly, pressing his hand. Just rest. But Daniel shook his head faintly. Thank you for coming. She brushed a tear from his cheek. You're not done yet, Daniel. Not this time. The next morning, the doctor came in with cautious optimism. The surgery had been long and difficult, but Daniel had made it. Against all odds, his heart was stable. When he finally regained full consciousness, Emma was still there, sitting beside his bed, exhausted, eyes swollen but smiling faintly. I thought you'd left, he murmured. I almost did, she said. But then I realized I never really left. Not completely. For the first time in 5 years, Daniel's eyes filled with tears. Not of regret, but of gratitude. Emma, he said weakly, I don't expect another chance. She smiled gently. Maybe you don't need one. Maybe this is where we both start again. Not as who we were, but as who we've become. Outside, the morning sun broke through the hospital window, casting soft light on their joined hands. And in that fragile silence, 5 years of distance, anger, and unspoken pain melted, replaced by something simpler, purer, and real. Forgiveness. Sometimes, the hardest apologies aren't spoken in words but shown through actions. And sometimes, love doesn't return to rekindle the past. It returns to heal it.